Hey folks, it's me, Trapper Jack. Check it out. Look at this beautiful place we're in today. I'll move real slow so you can see. And back over this way. Real dense stand of trees. Yeah, this is a really, really beautiful spot that I'm in right now, folks. I wish I could have you here with me. There was a fire here at one time. These burnt logs here in this woods. See, yeah, there's a few inches of snow on the ground. I'm out here practicing woodlore skills. My pack right there, got it sitting on top of a plastic bag. That's another burnt out tree. Yeah, look at those woods down there. This place is amazing. Those pine trees right there are about 100 feet tall. Huge. Yeah, just a little rocky bald out in the middle of the woods. Yeah, this is just a rock out in the middle of the woods. And the rock over there makes this a natural clearing. So I'm kind of come here to do things and hang out. Usually when there's not any snow, the rock is dry up there. You can sit down on the rock. Of course, it's covered with snow today. What I want to do is I want to show you guys some hatchet and knife skills. Yeah, like woodlore. Show you some woodlore stuff. So with a good knife and a good hatchet, you can make essentially anything you need out in the wilderness. Whether it's a shelter, a boat, fire, tools, weapons, just about anything you need out in the woods is going to come through the use of one of these. So join me for my woodlore video, and so let's explore the world of woodlore. That downward to right there. Okay. Okay, so we got the basic stuff right here. We got our knife, we got our hatchet. We got aside for a minute. So pretty much, you know, when you have a stick that you need to trim a square end off on, that can be hard to do, you know, because a hatchet chops at an angle really well, like that. But chopping something straight off doesn't do quite as well. So what you can do is you can take your knife. And use some kind of a baton, or use a hatchet, and what you can do is you can cut that piece of wood right off square. You can cut this piece of wood off square just by doing that. Yeah, this piece of wood is kind of long, so I'm fiddling with it a little bit. Believe me, I have something I want to show you in a minute. I'm doing this for a purpose. So that's what you do, you know, you keep chopping it like this. So finally, the end of it will just break right off. Let me try that again. and finish it with a hatchet. But you see how that's cut off kind of square on the end instead of being beveled to a point. So the next job you might need to do is you might need to, split one of these down the center so you make a spear or something like that. Instead of grabbing onto it and trying to cut into it, you kind of use the same method. What you do is take your baton, set the knife blade on there, and then see how that split right exactly where I wanted it to, and you can control the depth. You can control how deep it goes. And sure, you can take your hatchet and try to just split it like, split a stick like that. But you don't have much control over where it hits. Even if you're highly skilled, you still might miss. So you can control your cuts by using a knife and a baton. Like that. So if I wanted to make a spear right there, this shaft right here is ready for it. See? So that's a really important skill, and you can pretty much do any kind of wood shaping that you need to do. You can do precise cutting and precision. You can do precision jobs using a baton and a knife like that. Well, yeah, sure, you could just chop with a hatchet, but you have far more control if you use a baton like this right here. So you see what I mean? By, you can get a good split that way, and using the knife and the baton method, that's a really intelligent way of taking care of business, right? I mean, I love using a hatchet, but I probably like doing baton work even more. Even if you gotta work on big stuff, even big work, this does a great job. You can essentially do any kind of wood shaping that you need to do, just like that. So that's one skill. Yeah, that's one skill right there. And then another thing I'd like to show you is you can use a knife with a blade like this as a draw knife. And what you do is you have something to support your work, and then you can grab onto the blade like that. Grab onto the blade by the handle and grab onto it with your other hand by the tip. And you can use it just like a draw knife to do any fine wood shaping that you need to do. See? Just like that. Yeah? Yeah, so that's what you can do. You just grab onto it just like that right there. Use it like a draw knife. So that allows you to do any kind of woodwork that you need to do. It's so much better of a method than just taking a hatchet and scoring down the side of it. You can do it like that. You can take a hatchet and work a piece of wood like that and kind of do what a draw knife does. It'll do very similar work. Yeah, and you can do that. It'll shave right down the side, and you can make a round pole flat. You can make it flat, or you can make a square piece of wood, whatever you need. But the difference is, a hatchet has less control and probably does faster work. And a knife, used as a draw knife, has more precision, but it's, you know, it's slower work. So that's a good tip right there. Those are two really good tips on how to use, you know, just a regular, you know, long blade hunting knife. So I really enjoy doing woodworking, and a knife like this is one of my favorite types of knife to use. I carry pocket knives. I use other kinds of knives, you know, like I have a fillet knife that I use for fishing. It has a super thin blade, but this one has a super thick blade. But essentially, if I'm just grabbing a knife with a bug out bag, I want to go somewhere, this is what I reach for right here. I reach for this knife right here. And I do carry a hatchet once in a while, but usually I don't even carry a hatchet. I just bring a knife and I split my wood, you know, with a baton. Just split it. And, you know, minimalist stuff. You know, I don't like to carry too much weight, so it's either a knife or a hatchet. I usually opt for the knife. You know, I'm always okay with that, and that works well for me. That works out well for me. Just using, you know, just using a knife. So, you know, right there, that's a good split right there. Now I'm ready to, you know, make a tool out of that if I want to. And of course, I usually don't use lashings. Let me see if I can. I've got something right here that I'm gonna. Right here. Glove back on. So usually when I have a split piece of wood like that, I use a collar. Yeah. I use just a metal ring to slide down over it, so that let me split this open, spread this open. See, if you put a, you know, any kind of a, you know, tip into your split right there, what you can do is put a collar on it, and this collar, you can wedge it forward as tight as it'll go. Yeah, you force your collar onto the tip as far as it'll go, and what it does, it anchors the point in there where it won't move. And yeah, this one could use to slide forward a little bit more, and you adjust it with your, you know, with your knife if you need to. You can trim this down a little bit so that your collar slides up to the position where you want it, which, you know, should be right exactly at the tip. And if you use that method, you know, just in a matter of seconds, you can make some of the most dependable and durable tools that you can get your hands out in the wilderness. And it doesn't take a lot of work. It doesn't take any lashing, no lashing or tying. Just use a collar. You know, this is off a key ring. You know, just like a key ring. That's all it is. And you can use anything. And you can bring, you know, you can bring your own. You know, like a neckerchief tie. You know, the little button that holds the neckerchief with the hole in it. You can use one of those too. Just anything like that. A wedding ring. A wedding ring can be a collar. So just be resourceful when you're out there. And then, you know, you can have a tool like this that, you know, makes a spear that you can put together in just, you know, a matter of a minute or two. You know, that makes it easy. It's economical. It makes a lot of sense. And you can't get a better arrangement. Yeah, when that tip breaks, you pull it off. You break the shaft on your spear. You take your collar back. You keep that. Put the collar back in your pocket. or go make another weapon. Yeah. And if you're traveling from place to place, instead of carrying an armload of weapons, just carry the collars, throw the weapons down, make more when you get to where you're going. You know, you don't have the bulk of weight to carry. All you have to do is carry a few of these. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that's what I do, folks. I try to think ahead, think smart, think practically, think minimalist, and, no work, put no effort into it. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's because in survival situations, you have to conserve as much energy as you can. The more energy you expend, the more you have to feed yourself, the more water you need, the more you need to have a shelter to rest. So putting lots of effort into doing something really places you in a dangerous place in a survival situation, because you have to acquire water, you have to have shelter, you have to have food, you have to have sleep and rest, you have to have a good mental state to be able to continue on doing your survival out there in the woods. And so just doing too much work, burdens that are too hard, too heavy, take too long, those are all wrong approaches to take when you're concerned about survival. So that's what I do. I do the minimalist, easy, don't put any work into it, let's do as little as we can. And that's the proper way to think. And so using a collar and using a simple split in a tool shaft and using a collar, that's the right way of thinking. Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely the right way of thinking. So when you're chopping limbs off, what I do is I use my knife pretty much the same way. I'll put the limb right there, like that. I'll take a baton and I'll pop them limbs off just like that. Because it allows you to snap them little branches off and have a high level of control while you're doing it. And that's what I like. I like to be in control when I'm using tools like this. Hatchet can do, hard, heavy work. You can do it in a hurry. But when you're trying to make a fine tool or, building stuff for your shelter, like trying to build doors and stuff like that, you really need control over what you're doing. So I like using the baton method, especially when it comes to popping off little branches. Instead of chopping them with the hatchet, chop it with the hatchet, it can scar the wood. And sometimes you can't have that. Sometimes a little nick in the wood will cause your tool to break later on. So to avoid damage and to do less damage to the work you're doing, just use a baton. And then you can slowly work. You slowly work the area that you need to work with a very high level of control. And that's how I like it, folks. I like to have control, in my work, where I'm working and what I'm doing. I like to have control and be in control. Yeah, chopping on wood and stuff like that. I mean, chopping can, accomplish big, heavy jobs in a hurry. But what makes the most sense to me is just taking your time. Just having control over what you're doing. You take the time to have control. That's why I like using the knife and the baton. Especially for doing work like this, for putting splits in my spear shafts and stuff like that, because I get a high level of control out of it, and so that just makes the end result that much better. So yeah, in survival situations, you got to be resourceful. You got to put as little effort into doing a lot of the things that you do, so that you have more energy for walking your way out of the woods, if that's what you're doing. Or if you're staying put, that takes a lot of energy to accommodate doing that. So you have to find ways to cut down and do less work on some things so you can do more work on others. And yeah, it's a balancing game. Sometimes you can't make the checks balance with the measures because there's too much work to do and not enough time to do it. You might be too tired to do it. There's a lot of things that can stack up against you to make accomplishing everything you need to do just not possible. So you've got to find a way to minimize the amount of work that you do on every single thing that you invest your time on. At least that's my thought on it anyway. Thanks for joining me today, folks. My name is Trapper Jack. Make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, and thank you very much for joining me here today. I hope you come back next time. And if you'd like to see more content like this, you can look at my channel and see over 175 other videos that I've done on similar subjects.